to Conversations with the Candidates. This is the third in a series of discussions with candidates for North Adams City Council. My name is Tammy Daniels, and I'm the editor of iBerkshires, and I'm here in the Northern Berkshire Community Television Studios. In this show, we have Deanna Morrow, Robert Cardimino, and incumbent Peter Oleskiewicz. And we're going to start out by letting them introduce themselves to you. And Deanna, would you like to go first?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Tammy. So my name is Deanna Morrow. I am 24 years old. I'm originally from Boston, Massachusetts, and I had discovered North Adams when coming here for MCLA. And while at MCLA, I was very involved. I did student government, kind of planning events. I was a residential advisor where I lived the community to make living spaces and students feel more comfortable. I was a residential area security monitor, so I made sure nobody was supposed to be in the building that wasn't supposed to be there. I was an orientation leader where I would give tours and tell students and their families all about MCLA and the beautiful North Adams. And I worked for the volunteer center where I would volunteer in the community doing things for the food pantry or making, insulated windows to keep down costs. And I also revamped the MCLA Swipes program, which was to help communities or commuter students, with meal swipes so that they were able to, kind of afford food with food affordability. And I did all this while graduating with a psychology degree. And after this, I decided to stay in North Adams because I loved it so much and I was already so involved. And I went into my field working for the Breen Center at Keenan House North. And so now I work there with people who struggle with mental health and addiction. And I have also taken the NBCC community class to kind of, learn more about what North Adams and the Berkshires have to offer and what kind of resources they have. And as well as helping out with the NBCC basketball program and campaigns in the area. And yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Okay, thank you. And Bob?
Yes, my name is Robert Cardimino. I live at 173 East Quincy Street. I'm a Korean War veteran, and I'm a disabled veteran. And I have married to a Filipino girl for 19 years. My first wife passed away in 2001. I have two children. One lives in Adams, Karen Freitag, and the other one lives in Chesapeake, Virginia, Kelly Mazzarillo. And I have 3 grandchildren. I have run for council a couple of times, close, but no prize. And I'm always interested, and I attend almost every meeting that had since Joe Bianco, and that goes back many, many, many years. And the reason I'm running is because I'm very interested in being a voice for the taxpayers of North Adams. And we're about to embark on a new school. And it's $60 million. And our share is going to be between 10 and 20 million. My question is to the mayor, sooner or later, how are we going to pay for that? Because I don't think we have enough reserve funds. And I don't want to see our taxes go up because North Adams has a lot of seniors. And they're living from paycheck or Social Security check to Social Security check. And I have brought before the council several suggestions about how to deal with National Grid. And they finally come around because I haven't had an issue with them. So, you know, there's so many issues coming up, and the ordinances are so, I don't know, I shouldn't say loose, but they're not precise. And, you know, we've had problems with trash around the city, and we still have it. And there was rats not too long ago. And the building inspector, he can only do so much. And I'm trying to get one of the counselors to stiffen them that ordinance about trash. You know, and we got to try to keep the expenses down. And there was a forum in Pittsfield where they're going to start recycling mattresses.
We'll hit on that in the next round, okay? You can talk about that in the next question. I want to get
Okay.
Pete time to spot. Go ahead, Pete.
Hello, my name is Pete Oleskiewicz. I live at 69 Main Street, right in the heart of downtown. I really love living on Main Street. I get to spend a lot of time sitting down on the benches talking to people on my time off. I was raised and educated in North Adams, and I spent 22 years in the trucking industry, where it kept me away from the city that I love so much. So I ended up giving it up, and I'm afforded the time to spend time in the city and give back to the community that I've grown to love so much. I'm seeking my third term right now, and it's been very exciting. I mean, right now we're in a period of growth again. We see we had Temescal Wellness open up on Curran Highway. We are on the horizon of development at the Blackington Mill on Massachusetts Avenue. So for a time during the COVID period, the growth was stunted in North Adams for a bit. So now we're entering a growth period again, which we so desperately need to add some money into our coffers. As we see, we have a lot of projects coming up within the city. We have infrastructure issues. Next month is going to be the tough time, the hardest time of the year every year. Next month is where we'll approve a mayor's tax plan, and it's not a very popular time because you're going to make decisions that are going to adversely affect some and affect others in better ways. It's a very tough time. But the reason why I'm running again is because it's been very exciting over the past 2 terms being part of making ordinances in the city, getting rid of antiquated ordinances that really, they're just sitting there on the books, really doing nothing, waste of time. So Councilor Shea's been doing a pretty good job of trying to clean these up and make the city more streamlined. I think a lot of things are old, and I'll give her a lot of credit for all the hard work that she's been putting in. But I'm going to keep my comments brief. Like I said, I'm here running for my 3rd term, and Ms. Morrow and Mr. Cardimino are here to try to attain a 1st term. So I would like for them to have more time to get get out to everybody out in the audience that is watching. But thank you very much for your time.
Okay. But I will just ask you one thing, Pete. What in the next 2 years, if you are elected, what would you like the council to take up in the next term?
What would we like to take up in the next term? I mean, there's so many things that need to be addressed in the city. Like, number one is our infrastructure. We've seen in storms that we can't handle the water. I mean, we have an aging infrastructure, and just like any other city and town, it's costs a lot of money. I believe we have over 100 miles of roads in the city of North Adams, and every one of them has running water underneath them, sewer water underneath them. We're seeing more and more electrical lines are going underground, which the electrical lines wouldn't fall upon us, but I mean, if the city had $1 billion, we could tackle. But we see every time there's a storm-related issue, snow, winter comes, water main breaks, the public does get a little discouraged because we haven't kept up on the infrastructure. But just like any other city and town with no money, it's a case of fix it as it breaks. So I would like to see us work more on infrastructure. We're gaining ground on a new school. Tomorrow, I believe it goes to vote for a new school. We see that the investment we made 30 years ago at Brayton is, I mean, the school's kind of in disarray. So I believe that, I like to thank the school department for spending countless meetings on trying to address a new school. And tomorrow, the new plan for Greylock comes out, and I'm very excited for that.
Okay. Deanna, what in particular interests you, and if you're elected to the council, what would you like to see the council to tackle?
Yeah, so infrastructure is another big thing for me. And, you know, being able to also allocate money for that and allocate money to things that bring in new money. For example, you know, staff community groups or grant coordinators and kind of being able to fund that and working together with the groups. That's a big thing for me. Another big thing for me is affordable housing and being able to, you know, as a renter, I understand how expensive that could be with utilities and whatnot too. And being able to have more affordable housing, but also housing, bringing more developers for more housing, and, you know, with the housing stock. And then lastly, something that's big for me is addiction resources because I work in the field. And just being able to, you know, not necessarily having more, but also like growing what we already have. You know, we have Keenan House North, we have ALC, we have the new peer recovery center that's opening soon, which is an awesome resource. And so being able to, you know, just kind of also maybe have grants for those and be able to, yeah, just kind of expand those things.
So you would be supportive if the mayor came forward with saying she wanted to spend the money to hire a grants coordinator, which I know that she's been trying to do that.
Yes.
And to put money towards affordable housing, which is really difficult because we've seen that private investors are not really putting their money into affordable housing
Yeah.
because they can get so much more. It costs so much to build.
Yes.
And then to get your money back, you really have to go for market rate. I mean, I think that's just the way it works. So, but you would be supportive of the initiatives coming forward from the administration. Okay. And Bob, Mr. Cardimino,
Yes.
what in particular would you like the council to focus on in the coming term?
Well, I see we're going to have a problem with the sewage plant in Williamstown. It's almost beyond capacity. And we're going to have to invest some money along with Williamstown and, you know, I don't know what the answer is, but we got to get that done before it becomes a crisis. And also, you know, I would like to see the mayor ask the sheriff's department to help us with trash and pick it up along the highways. They used to do that, send the prisoners up. And also, and send some of the sheriffs and back up our police department. We're getting to the point where, you know, we have a good police department, we have a good fire department because they're all going to the academy now. It's not just, you know, I want to be a fireman and I walk in. And I'm going to be very blank. We have a deputy fire chief, which we never had before. And why does North Adams need a deputy fire chief? I sat at a meeting with the fire chief, the mayor, and myself, and I asked that question. And the fire chief said, the deputy fire chief is in charge of training. But the last 6 firemen that we've hired come out of the fire academy, and they're hitting the ground running. and I don't think they need any training. And not only that, the deputy fire chief has a truck to go back and forth to work, and he lives in Clarksburg and pays no taxes in North Adams. You know, North Adams is not that big where they need a deputy fire chief. We got 3 lieutenants to take care of training if they need it.
So in the next budget, you would argue against funding that position?
Let's say that again, please.
You would argue against funding that position in the budget?
Well, yes. Now, I don't mean we get rid of the person itself. It's just the position that we don't need. Okay?
Okay.
It's, I'm guessing, I forget what the exact figure is, but I think it's around $70,000 we pay that man. You know, and you know, he's been around and he knows fire and all that and everything else, you know. So, anyway, and, you know, the schools, you know, we're going to build a new school eventually.
Yep.
And it just makes me wonder, you know, how we're going to pay for that school and not impact the taxpayers, especially the seniors. You know, because we do have an elderly faction in North Adams, many. And I'm one of them.
Well, one of the things that a lot of people have brought up is that you're right. We have an aging population. We need more people to come here and get these houses that are empty and fix them and pay taxes and send their kids to our schools. So, Deanna, as a young person, from your experience since you stayed here in North Adams, what can we do at the sort of the governmental level, do you think, to bring young people into the city?
Okay, so one thing that I think we could do, I think that a lot of young people come from MCLA. So I think connecting MCLA more to the town of North Adams, because MCLA can kind of be in its own little bubble. And so being able to kind of introduce those students more so to North Adams and what it has to offer, which I feel like has been happening a lot more over the last few years since I've been there. But, you know, just kind of showing them, maybe helping them, for example, finding housing and work after MCLA, or, you know, for people who don't go to MCLA, maybe boosting tourism, you know, and kind of showing people more so what North Adams has to offer, you know, really embracing the small businesses in the small town that North Adams is. You know, it gets very busy over fall time with fall foliage, things like that. And maybe having more ads for North Adams, more places, so people kind of know about it more so. I honestly didn't know about North Adams until I came to MCLA. And now I talk about it with a lot of people. I always tell them to come up and kind of see the beautiful North Adams. But yeah, I think that just getting the word out there more so about what it is, and having people just be able to know like what's here, you know, and how they're able to stay and what they can do to stay.
Yeah, I see most of the new people I speak to when they come here, it's usually for two reasons. It's because they went to MCLA.
Yes.
Or it is because they either came from Mass MoCA or they came for the arts community that has grown up around Mass MoCA. So those are the two things. So what do you think, what would you support, what kind of initiative would you support as a counselor in funding to get the word out about North Adams? I mean, the tourism position in the city has been up and down, partly because of COVID, and then we had somebody who left who was very good, and now we have somebody who was in there, and now she's not going to be doing that anymore because she has now taken another position. So so I guess I was like, what would you support coming to the council to sort of facilitate getting news out about North Adams and working with the college?
Yeah, so I guess for starters, maybe having or finding a position that can do it, or finding somebody for that tourism position, something like that. And as I said before, maybe getting the word out more, so having more like ads for North Adams, maybe just places, social media, and with the college, the volunteer center, for example, is really involved with the community. That's how I got involved in the community. So maybe them doing more things with the community or having more students do things, whether that be volunteering or maybe downtown North Adams has an event, maybe they can host an event on the campus or vice versa. MCLA hosts an event downtown, things like that.
All right.
Yeah.
Bob, how do you think how do we get people to come into the city and pay taxes?
Well, let me say this. If you've seen the new lumber yard
Yeah.
that we have, and that fit a perfect, that's what North Adams just needed. So we don't have to go to Bennington or Pittsfield for lumber. And I was in there just yesterday, and I was very impressed with that place. And I think that's going to make some good jobs right there, and that's what we need. We need some jobs, some good jobs, because we really don't have any basic industry to draw people here either. It's more or less almost a tourist town. But we should cater to them also, and we do. We work with MOCA and the nonprofits, and we try to, bring people down to Main Street, and that's the big thing. But one of the things I see is that Mass MOCA, they say they want to try to bring people down to Main Street, but yet they're taking restaurants and bringing them into MOCA, and there's restaurants, and I don't know, I ain't never been in there, but they got lawyers and retail stores, and there's even, I think they have some rooms to rent. Oh, yes, I think so. Check.
Well, I think that those are for their artists in residence.
Huh?
Artists in residence. And so they have people who come and work at MOCA, and they do have room, but they also have rooms off campus. So I think they may have some on the campus, but they also have them off campus for people who are visiting artists who come in.
And then the project that they got going over to Greylock, that is going to bring people into this city. And it does, the one on
The Blackington Mill.
the Blackington Mill. Yes, I think that's going to be a great thing for North Adams.
I'm going to pick up on what Pete talked about. We're coming into the worst time of the year where the city council has to vote on the tax classification. And we have a split tax rate where we have a residential rate, and then the business rate is one plus a differential that goes on top. So right now we have the highest, I think it's the highest commercial rate in the state right now. So what would you like to see on that differential? They did a compromise last year. The mayor wanted to put more on the business side. City council did not want to burden the commercial side that much, and so they came to a compromise. If you were on the council, which way would you have voted?
Well, I'm in favor of a split tax rate, residential and commercial. A resident does not have any way to raise any money. It's what your budget is, and that's it. A commercial, most of them, and you can see it in the prices. If their tax rate goes up, they raise prices accordingly. And I think it's a fair way to do things, for everybody concerned.
Okay. Deanna, do you have any take on that? I mean, were you aware of some of the conversations last year about the tax rate?
I'm aware of some of it. I don't know too much about it though. But I am in favor of the split tax rate. But yes, I do need to look more into it and kind of get more of a take on it. I don't really want to speak too much on it if I don't know too much,
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I'll ask you this then. What, if you get elected, what committees would you like to serve on?
Yes, so
You prepared for that one?
yeah. So I wanted to be on the community development committee as well as the public services committee. The community development because they help provide a strong environment for businesses to grow, and I'm a strong supporter of small businesses and just businesses in general. And then improving infrastructure through grants and public services, just to kind of make sure that the councils have everything that they need to run smoothly. And yeah.
Those two in particular? Yeah, we noted in the last conversation I had with other two counselors, we noted community development had
Yes.
not done a lot
Yes, I did see
over
that
the
too.
past 2 years. So is there something that if you were on that committee, because you can bring something forward to a committee, you don't have to necessarily go through city councils, or something you would like the community development committee to take up?
Not specifically currently right now, but I definitely do think that there should be more meetings, and more things kind of happening within it. So I'm prepared to kind of take that on if I do join this committee and, kind of make things happen more so if possible and just have things kind of run more.
Okay, all right. Bob, if you are elected, what committees would you like to serve on?
Well, I think we have chairs of the committees right now, and I think I could serve on almost everyone except maybe the finance committee. But when they do have finance committee meetings, I am going to attend, because what was it? $47 million, and we didn't cut 10 cents. There are places, and that budget can be cut. But, being just an attendee, I find it very hard to understand everything that goes on in the finance committee. So I will just listen.
All right.
Okay.
So Pete, so in the last term, was there anything you disagreed with that the council did, or you thought it should have done differently?
You're always going to have some disagreements, but if there's a disagreement on the floor, generally someone will make a motion to send a paper back to committee. And like you stated earlier with last year's tax shift, you go to committee and you work like adults that you're supposed to be, and you find some kind of compromise. In particular, anything that I had a major disagreement with, there may be a couple things. Last year when the mayor presented the tax plan, I made a motion to adopt it because her plan had the least effect on our city homeowners. And we know that we have an aging population, and a lot of our city homeowners are elderly. I mean, I'll give my mother, for instance, and her husband. I mean, they're both in their 70s. I mean, my mother has since passed, but my stepfather still, at 75 years old, is still working. I mean, 10 acres on Daniels Road, and the tax bill is kind of high. So I'll stand proud on my motion to adopt the mayor's tax plan last year, because it did have the greatest benefit towards the homeowners of North Adams. But I'll hold no animosity towards the rest of the counselors because, well, like I said, we're adults and we go to committee, you find a compromise, and I mean, it's the cliche saying, on to the next item, because there's so many things that you have to deal with on every week. I mean, we've seen lately, and Tammy, you're there, the agendas have been pretty lengthy.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 20 things. I mean, there's nights we'll have a 20-minute meeting, there's nights we'll have a 3-hour meeting, which I'll never complain about. I mean, you're elected to do a job, so if there's something on the agenda, try your best to get it done.
So Deanna, have you been following over the last year, there are things that the council did that you maybe had not agreed with or would have done differently?
Nothing in particular that I could think of. I have been trying to attend as many council meetings, though. I will watch them on Facebook live stream.
I was wondering, people watching on Facebook Live?
Yes,
okay.
if I can't make
Yeah.
it, which is an awesome thing that they do because, not everyone can always make it to the council meetings. But nothing that I could think of in particular, no.
Bob, is there something you would have done differently over the last term that the council did?
Just say that again.
Is there something the council did over the last term that you would have done differently or disagreed with?
Well, it seems as though a lot of the counselors, of course, I don't sit at the meetings, but they come and they're always postponing and kicking the can down the road, and it's one of the big things that I was after was the trash, and that's been going on for several months. And I asked the chair, what's going on? And he says, I have more important things to do. Well, I think trash is an important thing in the city of North Adams, so we don't, our neighborhoods, and especially up where I live, there's some trash on both sides of the hill. And I have taken pictures and brought it to council. And they still kicking the can down the road. It's and I don't know what the holdup is. Whether they're overburdened with other issues or what, that could be.
Well, I just from my experience, because I've been attending all their meetings, I know public safety has been really pushing to get that taxi ordinance out, and it has taken an inordinate amount of time to do that taxi ordinance because they are basically rewriting the entire thing, and that started back in April or
Six months ago.
At least it's been at least 6 months, and it was a priority for the mayor, and I think that's why they were really pushing to get it done, because they were having all these problems with a taxi company and had no way to do any kind of enforcement, and everything was up in the air. So I think that's one of the reasons why they're just trying to get it done and out of the way. But they did meet on trash. The other thing was trying to get the people they needed at the meeting to talk about the trash. So they did talk about the trash 2 weeks ago, and they're going to come back and talk about it more. No. No, but I was there, and they did discuss it and some of the problems that they're going through. So yes, so I think, and this is the one thing I've said to other people. Like, people come into the council and they're like, we're gonna do this, and I'm like, I'm not a counselor, but I have gone to so many council
how
meetings.
it works, yeah.
How long it takes them to go through stuff. And you're right, that's one of the Councilor Wilkinson was always saying, we're kicking the can down the road. Yeah, it is. It takes a long time, and I think that's something you don't realize when you go in. And you say, this is going to be easy, and it turns out it's not, because there are so many intricacies. It's so intertwined with so many other things.
You have to be very careful with language. We send
With
so much stuff goes
language.
to the city solicitor, like Tammy was talking about the taxi ordinance. It's very, very lengthy because the ordinances that were in place really give no room for any kind of enforcement. So you're pretty much, Councilor Sapienza and his Public Safety Committee have worked very, very, very hard, not only amongst themselves, but a lot of passing back and forth to the city solicitor to make sure that the language is properly in place. They came back on the floor last week again and ended up having to go back to committee because of some more language changes. It's not easy. There's so many committee meetings where sometimes it's hard to get a quorum. People who are involved with speaking or adding language to the ordinances, sometimes it's hard to get them here. I mean, not just the counselors, like say, like with the health department, trying, you know, they're a very busy department. They're nonstop, and with the trash ordinance, they did meet. They're trying to amend the ordinances to try to help lessen the amount of rats, because we see it's in every community. It's not just in North Adams, and here we are coming into the cold weather, and rodents are going to start to seek shelter. So they're trying to find ways to amend the ordinances are there, such as no more, feeding wildlife, because it makes an attraction. If you're going to put it there, they're going to come.
Yeah.
But I mean, once you're on council, a lot of the things we do is a very lengthy process. You will see a lot of postponements, and it gets very discouraging sometimes. But when you're sitting there as a council member, sometimes you'll understand it's a lot of work, and you'll see Tammy's there every week.
I get discouraged too.
Yeah. Like we thought we had the taxi ordinance done last Tuesday, but now it's going to go back to committee, and hopefully with a couple language changes and tweaks, it'll be represented to us again, and we can finally put that one to rest and move on to the next.
But because you go to committee meetings, how much work gets done in the committee meetings. So you're aware
No,
of that.
I have never been to a committee meeting.
Been to committee meetings?
No.
Yes. I'm pretty sure. I think
And
you
committee
went
meetings are open to the
finance.
public. Anybody from the public is welcome to come to a committee meeting.
Not as often as you go to council, but yeah, you've gone to a few committee meetings. Not recently, though. I haven't seen you. Yeah. 'Cause
Anyway, one of the things, maybe it's not in your questions, but one of the things that the city is going to have to address pretty quickly is a cemetery. We are running out of room. And they just leveled some behind the skating rink. And I don't know if they're going to use that for part of the cemetery or not. They are.
Yeah. Well, at least that was a discussion like way back. That was one of the reasons when they bought that building, all that land, because they bought the new city yard, and all that land in between was going to be filled in, and they were going to use it for more some. How many?
I believe with the purchase of that property, it did open up a pathway for up to 3,000 more grave sites to be sold at the cemetery. Yeah, there's it's quite a massive piece of property. So you'll see that they're clearing, and over time they'll do more clearing. They just opened up another part of the cemetery where they recently just started selling singles, but the purchase of that property, a lot of people were against, but it came with some benefit. It was a large enough facility to keep our equipment inside, to help with keep up with preventative maintenance and not keeping our equipment outside. But the property was also large enough to sell many more sites over the next 20 or 30 years.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are moving towards cremation too, which takes up less room.
Yes.
Yeah. That I know that's an ongoing discussion in Adams that they're having. Yeah. So anything else that you would like to say, Deanna, to some of the stuff we've been talking about? No?
No.
No?
No.
She's going to stay out of it.
Nothing to add about the cemetery.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna start wrapping up a little bit, and I just want everybody to take some time to be able to talk to the voters and tell them, why you're running, and why you think, you deserve their vote. So I'll let Deanna go first.
Yes. So first, I wanted to thank you, Tammy, for inviting me to do this. and giving the people at home a chance to know me a little bit more. Being so young and running for city council, I feel as though I could bring a perspective as somebody who is a woman and a young person in politics, and as well as being, I wasn't born here, but having kind of an outside perspective and coming into North Adams. And I am not the most political person in the world. Also, I grew up in a family who dealt with a lot of politics. I was raised by my grandmother, and so I'd go to the voting polls with her all the time when I was younger. And but I am a very people-y person, and I truly believe that listening to people and hearing people and being able to take what they say and present that is something that's really important to me and really big. So being a voice for the people, that's really important, something I want to do. And I just want to help North Adams grow as much as it has helped me grow, and as much as it has accepted me. So also, if you want to learn it or learn more about me or find anything else out, you can follow me on Facebook at Deanna Morrow for North Adams City Council. Yep, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bob?
Another issue that is going to come up. And with the school, the fire department, building, and the police department. And I don't know how they're going to fund all of that, without really raising the taxes out of, too high. And I don't have an answer for that. It's whether we could just move the police station and build a police station and leave the fire department, or vice versa. Or, like Adams, they don't have a cell. When they get a prisoner, they bring it to Pittsfield. And that's one of the reasons I'm wondering why we can't do the same thing. Instead of housing them there.
Yeah.
Because it's a half an hour to Pittsfield. You know what I mean? And I don't think we have that many prisoners, But I just, there's a lot of drugs in North Adams also, and it's a very tough thing for the police to deal with, and, they want to bring some more marijuana in. And I have a friend that lives over on State Road, across from the sky, clear sky. And I was amazed at the traffic that goes in and out of that place. It's one person after another. And we're getting them from Vermont and New York State.
Right.
And
Well, I got to cut you off because we're running out of time. I want Pete really quick.
I'll make it very quick and brief. But firstly, I would like to thank Tammy for being such a great host, and thank my fellow candidates here tonight at the table. I won't be repetitive, but I'll go off of what Deanna said. I'm a people person, and if you know me, you'll know that. I walk into Big Y and I leave the store 3 hours later because you run into 9,000 people and you spend a lot of time conversing with your public. That puts you in the position that you're in. But like I said, I'm going after my third term. I will be more than honored to be able to fulfill another 2-year term and work hard for the city and try to make the right decisions. As we all know, you're going to make popular decisions, you're going to make unpopular decisions, but you can't dwell on what you may have done today. There's always 9,000 issues down the line that you have to work on. It's a very busy job. It's kind of a full-time job. We all work full-time jobs, but this one here is a full-time job between the committees, the meetings themselves and all the research that you have to do. You have to be pretty committed to what you do. So I will say in November, if you will have me, I will be more than honored to do it again. And thank you very much, and thank you to everybody here tonight.
Thank you. And that's it for our show. I want to thank Deanna and Bob and Pete for being on with us. Don't forget, the election is November 7th. Polls are open at 7 a.m. at St. Elizabeth's Parish Center. There will be 11 names on the ballot for City Council. Pick up to 9. Don't forget to vote. I want to thank Northern Berkshire Community Television for having us, and we'll see you on the next show.